Jim, it's great to have you back. You know, we just heard from a bunch of the legacy credit card companies where you used to work. And I wonder if the price action lately has done anything to make them more hesitant about getting into that business.
No, not at all, Carl. Great to be here again. Yeah, actually, we saw over the course of 2021 just tremendous growth, far out exceeding traditional credit and debit cards around the globe.
What do you think? I mean, are you watching technical levels at this point? Or, I mean, how important? I've seen charts that suggest got to hold 28K. If it gets above 45K, things might be golden again. Are you thinking about that?
Actually, no. In the business we're in, and I think this is the interesting point, we process, along with Visa and MasterCard, the credit and debit cards around the globe. And surprisingly enough, people aren't using this just to hold as assets. Again, what we're seeing is tremendous amount of spend. If you look at the period January of 2021 to December 2021, we saw 500% growth in the number of cards issued and 600% growth in the number of transactions. So people are actually spending. So where we sit, where Visa sits, where MasterCard sits, the crypto wallets, people are actually using this as kind of everyday spend. So we're seeing a lot of growth, regardless of the volatility in the underlying assets.
Bit more, Jim. When you do see something like Bitcoin halving over the last couple of months, does that have any kind of impact, do you think? Maybe even pressure on people to go out and spend those assets even more quickly?
Yeah, Morgan, we've looked at that, and actually, so far, we can't find a correlation. If you look at the period just of January of 2022, we have seen over the last week a tailing off in spend, but we were seeing as high as $60 million a day in average spend on those wallets, on those cards associated with those wallets. So at least to date, the numbers continue to grow. People are spending those assets, whether it's high or low. We haven't seen a correlation yet.
Is DeFi something that is finally becoming more mainstream? And if so, how does that evolve? What does that look like, given the fact that you do sort of sit on the front lines around this type of infrastructure?
Yeah, I think DeFi is still more theoretical at this point. Again, where I sit, what's really interesting is that people are using these assets, even though there's a lot of volatility in them, for everyday spend using traditional rails, Visa, MasterCard rails around the globe. We studied something like 3.5 million of our cardholders, where we actually see their demographic information, and what we found was really interesting. That they cut across all aspects of society. Over 45% of those cards were people that were over age 35. They're less likely to attrit, 7 times less likely, so they're more loyal. So these products are sticky, unlike traditional Visa and MasterCards. It's a very interesting group of people. What I will say that is more or less expected is the cards do act more or less like you'd expect, which is currency for the internet. We saw 3 times the number of cross-border transactions using these cards, and most of those transactions were e-commerce, and 2 times the rate buying digital goods. So again, the underlying assets, the DeFi is still more theoretical. We're seeing these people use this as a mainstream way they live their daily lives.
Yeah, well, the cross-border part's going to be more and more interesting, we hope, if the economies continue to reopen later on this year, Jim. We'll watch it with your help. Thanks so much. Good to see you.
You're welcome. Good to see you guys.